Hello and welcome. This is Fireworks. What started as a sweet love affair between defectors from the People's Democratic Party to the then opposition, the All Progressives Congress, in 2014 may have ended in a typical marriage of strange bedfellows. Now, events in recent times are pointers to the total breakdown of ties between the leadership of the National Assembly and the executive arm of government. We seek a deeper understanding of these issues, especially from the PDP perspective, as I bid you welcome yet again to your preferred Hard Talk interview program on TVC. Let's take a moment, don't go away. Thank you for staying tuned. Today my guest is the national spokesman of the People's Democratic Party in the person of Kola Ologbondiyan. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome yet again to Fireworks.
Thank you very much.
Yes, this gale of defections in the last few weeks must be pleasing to the People's Democratic Party. Tell us what's responsible. Is it the 2019 general election that is precipitating it?
No, it's pleasing, it's welcoming for us as a party. And foremost, some of the people who are returning to the party, like rightly observed, left the party, and now they are back. Not just about 2019. It's about bringing back good governance to Nigeria.
It has nothing to do with failure to actualize their own ambitions, their own self-interest.
What self-interest are you talking about? I don't understand. What self-interest is seeing that in 3 years, the three-pronged promises that APC made to Nigerians to rev our economy upwards, to stop anti-corruption, and to fight insurgency.
Before we look at the failed promises of the APC, a member of the NPDP that has since returned home to the PDP, Mr. Alhaji Kawubaraji, talked about how the NPDP within the APC was being skimmed out of, well, quote unquote, the dividends of democracy within the APC, and how
that wasn't about
the Senate president before his defection was being persecuted. So this is not evidently about Nigerians. This is about the interests of the NPDP within the APC before their return home.
It's basically a disagreement between the people you talk about, Alhaji Kawubaraji, and the party that they went into. When they were leaving the People's Democratic Party, they expressed dissatisfaction with certain policies and the thought and the direction of the People's Democratic Party. And they believe that going to APC will make life better for Nigerians. But what did they bring back? What did they come back with?
But Alhaji Kawubaraji never mentioned Nigerians.
They come back with failure. They come back
in expressing his disaffection. Did he mention Nigerians? Did he mention the interests of Nigerians? He mentioned the interests.
I don't understand what you mean by he didn't mention the interests of Nigerians. Is Alhaji Kawubaraji, is he from Ghana? He's a Nigerian. And if he speaks about the interests of members of NPDP, he's talking about the interests of Nigeria.
Not necessarily.
It is.
Did he talk about potable water? Did he talk about schools?
He does not need
Did he talk about health care? He talked about the interest of members of the NPDP within the APC.
Alhaji Kawubaraji did not need to go into those basic issues. Because they are representational.
Because they're not priority.
Because they are representational.
Because they are not priority.
They are representational.
They are not priority for the NPDP and maybe by extension for the PDP.
As a matter of fact, Alhaji Kawubaraji was emphatic about why they had to leave their All Progressives Congress. And we believe in the People's Democratic Party, that we are a party of the people.
Interesting, Mr. Kola, because I haven't heard in much of the news emanating from the defection, the feedback. There has been very little said about the people, the interests of the people, you know, if we had to relate it to news about the defection. But let's make progress now and look at events that have occurred as a consequence of the defection. Particularly, I'm talking about the siege on the National Assembly in recent times. As the spokesperson of the PDP, tell us the official position. What do you attribute that siege to?
that branch, that arm of government that showcases the fact that we are in a democracy. That was what they went to attack. And we are not surprised the People's Democratic Party.
Lawmakers from your party say that they have evidence to prove that indeed the APC lawmakers, specifically from the Red Chamber, had planned sinister moves to impeach the Senate President and had convened somewhere in Abuja just to deliberate on how to execute that plan. And that happened hours before the siege on the National Assembly. Can you back up these claims? Can your party back up these claims with evidence?
Why can't the party back up the claim? Yeah, what I found strange is the fact that people talk about the National Assembly as if it's a sort of a sacred place that people don't go to, and their actions and the things that they do there are so close that people do not understand it. That's my worry. The National Assembly is the bastion of our democracy. It's different from the executive arm, it's different from the presidential villa, where you need to go through all form and all manners of checks before you can have access. The National Assembly is quite different. The National Assembly is a place where citizens have right to walk into and meet their representatives. And as such, members of the National Assembly function as if they are in a political environment, and they do that always. So there's nothing wrong with plotting. Nothing. Go and plot. But can you actualize it on the floor? Because the National Assembly is guided by a convention, by
Have
rules,
you cited this evidence
by the Constitution
quoted by Senator Dino Melaye,
1999 as amended? So when people say that we should bring evidence that senators are meeting, what do we need to bring evidence for that senators are meeting? Senators can meet anywhere, they can plot anywhere, but what's important to us, the People's Democratic Party, is that those vicious plots that have no basis in our Constitution, those demonic plots that will have no space in the rules governing the activities of the Senate, can never come and be manifested on the
Senators
floor.
Can meet anywhere.
They can meet anywhere.
Nigerians, a group of Nigerians can meet anywhere.
Oh, yes.
In the same way, anyone, any individual or individuals,
meeting on the basis of sinister plots,
in the same way, any individual or individuals can make allegations against another.
Plots to break into the National Assembly, when you know that you have no number to effect a change as required by the 1999 Constitution as amended, when you know that you do not have the capacity to change leadership.
If you can make an allegation, surely you should be able to back up your allegation with evidence.
You are talking about allegation.
In the same way, there were reports that indeed the siege on the National Assembly was carried out to drum up sympathy for the Senate President.
So are they now claiming?
And that's why
are they claiming that the members of the
failed woefully
of State Security that laid the siege on the National Assembly were acting
in the same way? In the same way, the PDP is claiming that it has video evidence to prove that there was a sinister plot to impeach the Senate President.
What I'm asking is
that's why
what I'm asking is simple.
There is a demand for evidence to prove that indeed these allegations are true.
Senator Kola controls the Directorate of State Security. Is that what they are telling us? When the chiefs are down.
But you had said earlier that this ruling party does not have the numbers to remove the Senate President.
They do not have,
and that's why it's resorting to sinister plot, as you claim.
Yes.
If that is the case, why has the Senate President resorted to a court action to prevent the All Progressives Congress from removing him illegally as Senate President? What is he afraid of?
I do not think that the President of the Senate is afraid of anything. The National Assembly, the Parliament, is guided by convention, like I said earlier, rules and constitutional provisions contained in the 1999 Constitution as amended. It is not guided by the action of thugs. The drafters of the Constitution did not provide a situation where a particular party will now assemble members to go and break into the Parliament. What is wrong with us? What is the issue? If you are so confident that you have the number and you want to impeach a presiding officer, wait for the Senate or the House.
Do you forget, Mr. Kola, that your government can also be, or is also culpable of this abuse of due process under its own administration. Do you forget that the National Assembly was under lock and key by police, DSS, on the 20th of November 2014?
There the APC goes again.
Where is the APC in this?
On what account did Nigerians vote out the People's Democratic Party? What was the reason? They voted out the People's Democratic Party because APC came on a mantra of change and said, all old things shall pass away and we will start a new thing in Nigeria. But the APC in the last 3 years... So the PDP is guilty of all things. The APC in the last 3 years has done worse form.
So does it have the moral standing to criticize the All Progressives Congress if it's guilty of the same Gestapo manner of abusing court processes?
It has more than the moral pedestal to accuse all progressives.
The black pot?
It's not about black pot. We are a people and we should be progressive about life.
Why should the Senate President continue to hold sway as leader of the National Assembly when the majority do not want him in office?
Who told you that the majority does not want him in office? Like I said, and I always say this.
Don't forget that the APC has won by-elections in Katsina, in Bauchi.
How do you now determine that a particular party is in the majority or a particular party is in the minority? The basic rule that will guide this situation is that when the Senate reconvenes, the presiding officer, in this case President Kola, given the movements that had happened across parties, would direct the clerk of the Senate to take a roll. And when he does that roll call, he will not announce on which side. I'm talking about procedure. Because in the People's Democratic Party,
there was party distribution that would have reflected on the National Assembly's website, showing the number of APC, PDP, ADC, APGA senators. Why is the PDP? Why is the PDP asking Nigerians to wait until after the National Assembly reconvenes before it can tell Nigerians how many senators it has in the red chamber?
That is the procedure. That's what the law provides for. And you think we have the
but
number.
there was a party distribution as reflected on the National Assembly's website.
If you are a majority, I think that you have the number. Now impeach the Senate President and put your APC. What if you do not have the number as provided for in the 1999 Constitution as amended and claiming that you are going to remove a Senate President? You are just engaging in an exercise in futility.
Is the PDP also planning to woo some senators to its side so that it can boost its own numbers?
It's our right. It's the right of any party.
That's why it's asking Nigerians to wait.
It's the right of any party
until after the National Assembly reconvenes.
It's not correct, but it's the right of any party
but
to woo any
but it's a possibility. But it is a possibility.
What is the issue? Look, I have told you before, Nambuki, that
so if the PDP, as you have confirmed now, is wooing senators from other parties to come to its own side, would it also be correct to challenge Senator Dindo Milaye in this interview with you that perhaps it is also trying to commercialize the consciences of some other senators so that you can get them onto its side and boost its numbers?
What we are talking about is that a government,
because that's its claim.
That a government, I have not denied
that's your lawmaker's claim.
I have not denied that. I have not denied
that. The APC is wooing senators, is commercializing their consciences to sign impeachment notice on the Senate President.
I have not denied that. You said that we are lobbying members. Do we have money to lobby members? Do we have money to lobby senators?
Sir, is this a contest of who can splash the most mud on the other?
The All Progressives Congress.
I'm asking you.
You cannot ask me. Ask the All Progressives
I'm asking you. And I particularly wonder where all this is headed, especially ahead of the general election. You're watching fireworks on TVC. My guest today is the national spokesman of the People's Democratic Party, and we have been x-raying the issues leading to the defections, the consequences, particularly the siege on the National Assembly and the alleged sinister plots to impeach the Senate President. There is more that we have for you on the program, so stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. If you've been following our discourse, we've been x-raying issues in recent times, particularly at the heartbeat of the nation. It's about the Cold War between the legislative and the executive arm of government. And my guest today is the national spokesperson of the PDP, Mr. Kola Ologbondiyan. Now, where is this headed? I ask this particularly because the issues that led to the defection in 2014 from PDP to the All Progressives Congress, have they been addressed? Are we not going to witness a repeat of this same pattern when the election is fought and won in 2019?
I do not think that we'll go back to the same pattern after the election will have been fought and won in 2019. I think we are making progress. And like you need to know, our politics is evolving. And because our politics is evolving, these movements will be normal until we get to a point where it will have dawned on every Nigerian that this party represents this interest and that other one represents that interest.
Is this what has led the PDP to form the CUPP coalition?
Yeah, the CUPP coalition essentially is about the need to rescue our nation.
So the PDP, which was self-styled the largest party in West Africa at one time, and which one of your chieftains claimed was going to be in power for 60 years, all of a sudden cannot work alone. It has to embark on a coalition.
We do not. It's not about working. It's not about whether we can work alone or not.
What's it about?
That's not the issue. The issue is about expanding the interest of Nigerians. The issue is about providing space for Nigerians to express their interests. And if parties believe that, look, we need to work together with a particular political party that has the reach across the length and breadth of our nation, you can't stop that. It's normal, it's expected, as far as we are concerned.
So you're using the smaller parties to make electoral gains in the 2019 election?
We are not using any party.
What are you doing?
To make electoral gain. We have a coalition, we have an agreement with all the parties to work together and bring back good governance to our nation. That is the essence of our coming back, of our coming together.
But you are presenting a consensus presidential candidate.
We will present a consensus presidential candidate who understands the nuances of this nation and who has the capacity and the latitude of knowledge to govern our nation and govern it rightly.
And their own supporters will vote for this consensus presidential candidate. Am I correct?
It's an agreement.
It's an agreement.
Yes.
So you're using them to record electoral gains for the 2019 election.
The word using is not proper in this context, because there is an agreement to work together. So once there's an agreement to work together, nobody can turn around and make a claim that we are using.
So this is all about power grab?
It's not about power grab. I have told you that the basic interest is good governance. Because as you speak,
you want to win the presidency. You want to win the presidency in 2019.
Not just the presidency. The coalition is not just about the presidency.
So it's about power grab.
The coalition is about good governance. The coalition is about ensuring that at every stage of our electoral system, we have people who understand the feelings, who knows Nigerians, who understand the nuances of our nation, who understand how we got here.
That is what we expect to see. If indeed you win using this coalition, am I correct? That is what you expect to see, good governance. But it is about power grab. And that's why Nigerians are asking, Nigerians are asking what your program is, what the CUPP program is, what is your manifesto? Does it stand up to scrutiny and fair judgment?
Definitely.
If it's not about power grab.
Definitely, it does.
So articulate what your plans are.
The basic plan, the basic need of our nation today is good governance, and you cannot shy away from that. The basic need of our nation today is good governance. We have the resources, we have what it takes, we have the technocrats, we have everything that is required to make a nation great.
PDP has lost 4 elections in the last 1 month. The governorship election in Ekiti State, the senatorial by-election in Katsina, and the Bauchi State and House of Representatives election in Kogi State. What does this portend for the 2019 election?
We did not lose elections. The APC brazenly stole votes. If they are claiming victory, it is strange and funny because they are claiming stolen victory. And they cannot use those parameters as the basis for what will happen in 2019.
Are you saying, or are you claiming that the PDP has never, in any election, induced Nigerian voters?
Name one governor of the People's Democratic Party that went to Bauchi or to Katsina or to Kogi State to engage in C&I. The party that came into office on the thunderous goodwill of Nigerians will end up as electoral thief. It's unfortunate.
But the reports across mainstream media about the Ekiti election was that the purchase of votes was across parties. It wasn't perpetrated by just one party.
Yes, thank you, Buki. I've had cause to argue this issue. And I did say that any money, any fund expended before the day of the election goes into campaign. But when you set up an ATM machine on an election day at the polling unit, you are a vote buyer, you are a thief, you are an electoral fraudster.
And I would like to also remind you, if you are claiming righteousness for the PDP now, that a PDP chieftain has also said to Nigerians on live television on a program that when he was in the PDP, he helped to rig elections.
We are talking about the distinguished Senator Ibrahim Mantu. And Senator Ibrahim Mantu has consistently and up to this moment said he never said he rigged the election on behalf of the PDP.
I'd like us to return to the issue of projects, especially because you have embarked on a massive campaign. You have even told Nigerians to name projects that have been started by this administration. Initiated by this administration.
And completed.
Well, initiated by...
And completed.
Okay, initiated and completed by this administration. Now, should it be a contest of who initiates and completes? Is it a sin for the Buhari government to complete projects started by the PDP government? Especially because we just talked about abandoned projects.
As a party, we are worried that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will go to Lagos to commission a bus stop. As a party, we are worried that upon all the humongous problems of this country, President Muhammadu Buhari will go to do so in Jigawa to go and commission a borehole.
Should the identification with a project by a president be about how ambitious the project is, or about the quality of that project and how it will service the people?
The bus doesn't even have buses. Then they turn around and say that, oh no, they are completing projects started and abandoned by the People's Democratic Party. What have you started? What project have you initiated? They should name one that they have initiated and completed in the last 3 years.
So would it be better for the Nigerian people if, for instance, this administration started another Abuja rail project instead of completing the one started and left by the PDP government?
We have no problem with coming to put flowers and decorations on the monorail of Abuja and commissioning it. But we have problem when we begin to lay claim.
But then you're speaking from both ends of the mouth.
When the project was already near completion, you just went there to do the painting and put flowers and commission it. But you should give credit to the government that completed the project, not the government that commissioned the project. These are two different things.
But your national chairman admitted the failure of the party when it apologized to Nigerians for the mistakes made by the PDP.
Buki, you have a responsibility to inform Nigerians. He apologized for the fact that we allow people who have no business in governance to come and take over the reign of government. Then they turn around and say they are fighting corruption. Which corruption are they fighting? Fight the one that's under your nose first. Use the people around you to demonstrate a fight against corruption.
What about the recovery of funds by the anti-graft agency in the fight against corruption? It has recovered trillions of naira.
Recovery of funds.
under the past administration, how much was recovered in its anti-corruption war? And when series of allegations were leveled against the Jonathan government for being lame in its fight against corruption, what boast could the administration make in its own fight against corruption?
Why are you taking? Are you an APC member? Why is it? It's only APC that when you ask them to speak up today, they were speaking about 5 years ago. They were speaking about 10 years ago. They speak about 16 years ago. Let us address the issues of today.
But you must also put things in proper perspective.
Humongous and huge corruption in this government.
When you accuse this government of being corrupt, you're also Nigerians are also reminded of the corruption that was perpetrated under the past administration. So where is the moral justification that the PDP has to criticize the current government of corruption?
When the issue is about corruption, APC should shut up. What corruption with a government that is chasing members of the parliament with tons of money? What about? What corruption is he going to correct? Or is he out to correct?
So you would rather speak to the sins of this current government without... I will say that, look, Nigerians will just abandon them where they are. Without looking at what has happened in the past.
Nigerians are prepared to abandon
Especially
them.
Because Nigerians have to choose.
We keep talking about
Nigerians have to choose between the APC, the PDP, and perhaps other alternatives.
Yes, Nigerians have to speak, or the Nigerians have a choice to make between the PDP and the APC. But Nigerians know that there are killings. If you talk about the killings also, the killings didn't start today. Go to the streets, but the starvation started today. The hunger started today.
Thank you very much for your time on Fireworks.
Thank you very much.
Yes. That's how it's being on Fireworks today. It appears it's going to be as, ahead of 2019 general election, is going to be as intense as this interview has been. And we'll watch with bated breath, and as I'm sure you will also. So join us again same time next week when we'll bring you another interesting edition of the program. I am Kola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.